Hello my trigger happy friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. As Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker nears its release, I decided to dive back into all the Star Wars films in chronological order leading up to its release. No spin-offs though. Now, I've never actually been an outright Star Wars fan. I've never hated the movies, but I've just never been into them. Some of these movies I haven't seen in 15 years or so. So this is going to be a very interesting journey for me, especially because I'm more Team Trek, but maybe doing this series of reviews can change my mind, or at least change the way I view Star Wars. Alright guys, grab your keyboards, head down to the comment section, and let's review Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. So what did I like about this movie? Well, first of all, it has great entertainment value, even in the slower parts of the film, which there's quite a bit. But it kept me entertained because of the set designs and the backdrops that were used. The visuals were so grand and vast that it picks you up from Earth, takes you to a galaxy far, far away, and drops you into the scene. And George Lucas did a fantastic job creating a beautiful world and immersing you in it. And I really respected the creativity behind the prop designs and digital pieces crafted for the film, like the pods used in the racing scene. They were really unique and looked really fun. Like I wanted to grab one and take it out for a spin, or a glide, or whatever you would call that. Joyride! And I thoroughly enjoyed the pod racing scene in particular. I thought it was enjoyable to watch the race. It was fun, exciting, and intense, but it does kind of have some down parts. Like there's certain clips I felt like they were just showing over and over and over and over and over again. Maybe they weren't, maybe they were different clips, but they kind of all looked the same. And the announcer twits commentating on the race was pretty dumb and almost took me out of the scene completely.
Oh, wait, little Skywalker is stalled. Super. Well, it looks like Quadraneros is having engine trouble also.
But I'm talking about the things I liked, so moving on. I also enjoyed the reintroduction of old characters, specifically C-3PO. Seeing him as a partly completed project to me was a fun way to bring back an old character in a way that we've never seen him before. And also, the final lightsaber scene between Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn was pretty epic. And we finally got to see Darth Maul in full action. I thought Darth Maul was pretty cool, and I wish I could have seen a lot more of him. Unfortunately, a lot of my review involving him lands in my negatives because of how he was handled in this movie. But the character himself was badass, sinister, kind of scarier than hell to look at. And he has that really cool double lightsaber, which is awesome. But again, Darth Maul will show up later in my video when I talk about what I don't like about this movie. But before we get there are some things that I'm kind of on the fence about. I'll use the score of Darth Maul as my segue. The score used in that final battle scene was powerful and menacing all by itself. But to me, it didn't fit with the rest of the movie. It seemed like an outcast. And Darth Maul hadn't quite earned the epicness that score was giving him, because we didn't see him very much. More on that later. I found the mixed tones of this movie a bit odd. I mean, it's either a fun joyride for Star Wars fans and young children, or it's a boring political film filled with Senate hearings and meetings and talking. Lots and lots of talking. I honestly didn't even really care for the Palpatine Chancellor subplot. I get why it was there. I don't think we need to spend that much time exploring that. There's a lot more that this movie could have offered in the way of character development, but we just wasted too much time just doing political stuff. Which leads me to why I'm on the fence about the storyline. I want to see more of a young Anakin Skywalker character arc. Focus on that a little bit more. Illustrate to the audience this darker side of Anakin that has the Jedi Council so concerned, and keep this political crap in the background. And it's not just Anakin that needs this justice, but Palpatine and Obi-Wan as well. They have great opportunity to show some real development with these characters, but instead, they keep this prequel subtle and watered down. Palpatine's evil, just cuz.
Wipe them out. All of them.
We didn't really dive into why he is a part of the Sith. Maybe they explain it in some of the future episodes. I don't know. Again, I'm kind of watching this through fresh eyes because I haven't seen these movies in so long. But Obi-Wan should have been the lead character in this movie. I don't think there's any real reason for Qui-Gon Jinn to actually be there. They could have just put Obi-Wan in that spot. I'm sorry, Liam Neeson, but we didn't need you. At least not as a main character. But the story flows. I just think it could have flowed a lot more prominent by focusing on the saga's main characters. a lot more than they did. Since I seem to be heading down this road already, let's dive into the things I don't like about this movie. Green screens! You get a green screen! You get a green screen! Everybody gets a green screen! Or a blue screen, as they so painfully used in this movie. And I'm assuming the choice of going with the blue back screens is why everything kind of has this purplish glow to it. And I was completely distracted by this odd haze that seemed to encase every character standing in front of what was an obvious green screen. And then I noticed that some scenes kind of looked oversaturated in an attempt to mask the green screen, and that actually troubled the cinematography by changing the color palettes drastically from one scene to the next. Now, the quality of the CGI obviously doesn't date very well, but I'm not going to ding the movie for that because in its day, it was pretty high quality CGI, so kind of unfair to critique it for its inability to hold up to today's standards. And heck, one of my favorite scenes in this movie was almost completely CGI. The Battle of Naboo, which I totally realized while watching this movie that Avengers Infinity War completely ripped off the technology used in this scene. Like, completely. Anyhow, I am dinging this movie for its use of CGI in lieu of practical effects. Practical effects are what helped the first Star Wars trilogy be so successful because the pieces that they used looked real. They didn't have CGI. They had to craft set pieces by hand, like the starships and the Death Star. But they completely did away with all practical effects in this movie. You get a CGI, you get a CGI, everyone gets CGIs. I can see George Lucas be like, well, if less is more, just imagine how much more is. Now, the characters. Anakin's mother was a complete waste of time, and she didn't have to be. They could have really utilized her more to focus on this chosen one aspect of Anakin Skywalker. I mean, they kind of touch base with it, but it's really just a little bit just so they can say chosen one. I also felt no remorse or loss when she was left behind. You know what? Pretty much all the characters are on my shit list. They're all so dry, emotionless, and one note. There are so many great actors in this film, but they're all being directed to act the same exact way. The only one who gets a pass for this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, because that's what he was like in A New Hope. George Lucas liked Alec Guinness's performance so much, he's just like, yeah, everyone do that. You get the Obi-Wan treatment. You get the Obi-Wan treatment. Everyone gets the Obi-Wan treatment. I'm beginning to notice a pattern here. George Lucas put the camera down and walk away very slowly. And Darth Maul, you're one of the coolest characters in the series. And Lucas decided to give you 2 lines and 6 minutes of screen time. What the fuck? Benicio del Toro was actually cast as Darth Maul, but he ended up leaving the role when George Lucas cut most of his lines out. I mean, I guess all of his lines. What, he has like 32 words he says in this film or something like that? Holy shit. Whew. Lucas. Holy crap, man. I mean, I was going to review the actors on their acting, but I can't even really do that because they were all directed to perform the same exact way. Copy and paste performance all around. Except for Anakin. He was pretty terrible.
You'll never reach the outskirts in time. Sandstorms are very, very dangerous. Come on, I'll take you to my place.
Sorry, kid, but I blame the director, so. Oh, and now the Jedi Council is cool with Anakin being in Jedi training because reasons. The Jedi Council themselves, what are these guys doing? They just sit around a room and think. And they're not even doing that very well. I don't know. I mean, overall, I did actually enjoy the film, and if I watch it with blinders on, I don't pay too much attention to all the problems, and I can actually sit back and enjoy what the movie was about. But it did have a lot of potential, and George Lucas really had no business being in that director's chair. And for that, I'm giving this movie a C-.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
So yeah, don't destroy me in the comments. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out with me. You guys can check out some more videos right here. And as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.